so we have had to factor a lot of polynomials at this point, but they all had one thing in common. I gave you the first 0 when we had to factor. This is what we can do if I don't give you that first 0. How do we find a starting point if I don't give it to you? And so what this has us do is basically make a list of everything that might work, and then we can check our list to see what actually does work. So what might work has to do with like factoring and how that works out. So everything that could be a 0 is going to be of the form P divided by Q. P is a factor of the constant. Q is a factor of the leading coefficient. So let's just look at an example to kind of explain what this means. If I ask you to list all the possible zeros, find the zeros and write it in factored form. So if it were me, I would just write this down in the notes. You don't necessarily have to write all the directions. To get our zeros, I am going to ask you to tell me P, Q, and possible zeros. Okay, look at what you wrote down. What is P? A factor of the constant. So when I look up here, my constant is -6. Factors are things that divide that evenly. So what would divide my 6 evenly? Oh, come on, you guys can tell me numbers that divide 6. 2 and 3. What else? 1 and 6. Okay, now can we agree it could be like a +1 or -1? They both divide evenly. And that's the case with all of these, every time. So we always have to put plus and minus. So everything, my P, everything that goes into 6 evenly, positive, -1, 2, 3, and 6. We're going to put the plus and minus on each one of them because really they're separate numbers. It's 1 and -1, 2 and -2. I don't care what order you write them, so if you want to write 1, 6, 2, 3, that's fine. We just have to have them all. Okay, look at your list. What is Q? Okay, what goes into 2 evenly? 2 and 1. Again, could be positive or negative. To get the possible zeros, we do P divided by Q. So each P over each Q. So 1 divided by 1 is 1. Again, can be plus and minus. Everything always gets plus and minus in this list. Or you could have 1 over 2. Okay, I could do 2 divided by 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. I already have that on my list. 3 divided by 1 is 3. 3 divided by 2, so plus or minus 3 halves. 6 divided by 1 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and we already have that. Okay, so what we have just found is there are 12 possible numbers that could be a 0. We have to find one that works from this list of 12. So if it works, what should we get for a remainder when we plug it in? 0. So now it's just calculator time. Some tricks on your calculators to help you. I usually try to save my fractions for last, just because they're a little more annoying to plug in and do division with. Okay, so if I am going to plug in this, so we have 2, let's say I put in a 1. Let me show you how I type that in. All right. If it's me, you don't have to do this, but I like to type it in parentheses like that and hit enter. Oh, I got really lucky. That one was 0. But the reason I do it that way is then if it doesn't work, I can hit second enter and bring it back and then just change them something else. Like maybe change all those 1s to a 2. It's a little bit faster than retyping everything, but totally up to you. So we're plugging them in until we get one that makes it 0, which 1 did. So now we are basically to the point that we were at last week. We have the first 0. What do you do once you have the first 0? You do synthetic. How many zeros should there be? 3. Now this gives us the nice zeros. It's possible that 3 numbers from this list work. It's also possible that there's some imaginary zeros or things with radicals that we don't have on the list. So as long as you find one that works, doesn't matter which one, we start there, we do our synthetic. So I have 2x squared plus 13x plus 6. What would you do now? Slide. Okay, multiply to 12, add to 13. It'll be 12 and 1. Divide our 2 back. So we get x plus 6, 2x plus 1. If I am writing the factored form, it was originally x to the 3rd, so I am missing something. What else do I need? The 1. We started with our synthetic with a 1, so there's also an x minus 1 here. If I ask for the zeros, those are just the numbers. What makes x plus 6 equal 0? What makes 2x plus 1 equal 0? And x minus 1. Were negative 6, negative 1/2, and 1 all on my list of possible zeros? Yes. All right. So the new piece is we have to find that first 0. To do it, we have to list out p, q, and the possible zeros and plug in the numbers until we get one that equals 0. Then we can do it like before. That is the only new piece today, so we're just going to practice problems like this until we've got it, okay? Let's try, actually, let's do this one. I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to do them a little bit out of order. Let's do this one. Okay. What is my p value? Negative 8. What's everything that goes into 8 evenly? 4 and 2, 1 and 8. Okay, q. Where do we look for the q? It's just this leading coefficient. X to the 4th, that's just like a 1x to the 4th. So the only things that go into 1, plus and minus 1. For the possible zeros, we do p divided by q. So 4 over 1 is 4. 2 over 1 is 2. 1 over 1 is 1. 8 over 1 is 8. All right, that's everything that might work. 1, 2, 4, and 8, positives and negatives. So now we need to find one that does work. So everybody grab a calculator. You are plugging them in for the x's and trying to get 0 for an answer. If you get 0, tell me. So as soon as you find one, we can stop and do synthetic division with it. And we know we should get a remainder of 0 when we do this. One comes down, 1 times 2 is 2. Okay. At this point, we have some options. It's not a quadratic. Could we factor this nicely? If you remember grouping, you could. What if you don't, though? Think about when we had problems with imaginary zeros. How many times did we do synthetic? We did it twice, right? Could I find another 0 on my list that works and do synthetic again? Absolutely. When you do it, I would recommend just plugging it into here, the shorter polynomial. Any number that you've already tried that didn't work still won't work. Okay, so if you've already plugged in 1 and it didn't work, there's no need to test it again. Now, 2 worked one time. It's possible it could work again. Could be a multiplicity. When I'm looking at this, I see they're all added together, so I probably need a negative number. So try some negatives. Find one that works for me. -1. Does everyone know what I mean when I'm telling you to check the numbers? You're plugging in the numbers from this list of possible zeros in for the x's and seeing if you get 0 for your answer. So I'm doing synthetic with the answer I got out and my -1. That gives me x squared plus 4. Okay, does that factor nicely? Not really. So I think the first question I asked were the zeros. So if I set that equal to 0, square root plus and minus square root of -4 is 2i. So the zeros, we have plus and minus 2i. What else did we have for zeros? Two and the -1. It was an x to the 4th, so we get 4 zeros. Plus and minus 2i, 2 and -1. The factored form would have an x minus 2i, x plus 2i, x minus 2, and x plus 1. Questions on that one? I want to put one up, and I want you guys to see if you can list the p's, q's, and possible zeros to start us off. Comes from the constant. My constant is 2, so everything that goes into 2, just plus and minus 1, plus and minus 2. Q is the leading coefficient, which is 6, so everything that goes into 6, plus and minus 1, 2, 3, 6. You have to put plus and minus on all of them. So my possible zeros, that's P over Q, so 1 over 1, 1 over 2. 1 over 3, 1 over 6. Okay, and then our 2. 2 over 1 is 2. 2 over 2 is 1, and I have it. Plus or minus 2/3. 2 over 6 is 1/3, and I already have that. So this is my list of possible zeros. I have to find something that makes this equal 0. Personally, I prefer to start with like my non-fraction numbers. I just think they're a little bit easier. That doesn't mean we can't use a fraction if those don't work. But I would probably plug in 1s and 2s, -1, 2 first. So find one that works, and if you find it, tell me.
-2.
All right. We know it works if we get 0 when we plug it in, so then we do our synthetic. Okay, so 6 comes down. 6 times -2 is -12. Plus 7 is -5. So we get 6x cubed minus 5x squared minus 2x plus 1. What do I need to do now?
Do synthetic division again.
Yeah, I need to find another 0. So anything that you haven't checked, or it's possible -2 works a second time, I would just plug them in here and see if you can get 0 out. So everybody plug in numbers there and tell me if you get 0. One. So I'm going to take that answer I got previously, divide by 6, and that's 20. Now we have a quadratic, so now we can just go to slip and sliding. Multiply -6, add to +1, 3 plus 3 minus 2. Divide the 6 back. So we get 2x plus 1 and 3x minus 1. Okay, in my factored form, how many parentheses should I have? 4. Here's 2 of them. What else do we need? So remember the numbers that worked up here. So if we have a 1, that's x minus 1. If we have a -2, that's x plus 2. That's the factored form. The zeros, if you set each parenthesis equal to 0, we get -1/2, +1/3, 1, and -2, which were all numbers on our list of possible zeros. Is that okay? Let's do another one. What if I said so what are the p-values?
Plus minus.
What else? Good. So it's everything that goes into 4. So 1, 2, and 4. everything gets plus and minus. Q, we look at the leading coefficient, what's everything that goes into 3? Plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3. Possible zeros, P over Q. So 2 over 1 is 2, plus or minus 2/3. 1 over 1, so plus or minus 1, 1 over 3. 4 over 1, plus or minus 4, 4 over 3. All right, now what do we do? See what works. We need to get a 0. So find out what number from that list you can plug into the polynomial and get 0 for the remainder. So if we do our division, and we have 3x squared plus 13x plus 4. Quadratic, so we can factor it. Multiply 12 and add to 13 to be 12 and 1. Divide our 3 back. X plus 4, 3x plus 1. What else do we need? The 1, so x minus 1. Then the zeros set each parenthesis equal to 0, so we get -4, -1/3, and +1.